So our project was to feed the homeless. We first met and we wanted to kind of reach out to the community a little bit. We put together sandwiches, turkey and bologna. We handed them out to about 75 homeless people.
The first part is the forming stage. We didn't really know what to expect from each other, so we're kind of feeling each other out. We really didn't have a storming stage, I felt like, because we never had any of that conflict. We never, fought with Daniel at all, our leader. We just kind of breezed right past that stage and moved on to, the norming stages where we started to communicate a lot. Like Alexandra, you volunteered your apartment, so everybody come meet here. Everybody said like, oh yeah, like what do you want us to bring? Would you guys volunteer to go get them? We worked really well during that. We were really efficient, got everything done, got it out, did our project. When we did our paper, everybody knew what section they had to do.
I think we worked more as a team than a group because we were always constantly communicating with each other, talking, collaborating on our paper, and we were working together to reach a common goal.
Normally groups will have social loafing or one particular person that's described as the social loafer. We thankfully did not have that in our groups. We had all discussed when we first met as a group about what it was like being the one person that's responsible in the group and the one person that actually puts in more effort than everybody else, and all of us agreed that we didn't want to have that concept in this group. So from the start we were very open with putting in equal effort into our project, and so that definitely helped keep social loafing out of our team.
I felt like we had a lot of positive synergy throughout this whole project. For example, like when we were making the lunches, we all kind of split the tasks up.
And that made it faster and that made it more efficient.
And had we done this originally by ourselves and separated it individually and didn't work as a team or a group, we wouldn't have been able to do it as well and as efficiently and as great as we turned out to be.
We made pretty good use of the equity theory because we made sure that nobody felt like they were putting in more or less than everybody else in the group. When we bought all of our supplies, we made sure that the costs were split evenly amongst all of us. And when we were doing the paper, we made sure like the sections were divvied out evenly, and when we were making the lunches, everything was even. Nobody felt like it was unfair that somebody was being a social loafer basically, because everybody was doing their fair share.
We noticed that all of us, kind of came out as the same personality, except for Daniel over here stood out as an extrovert compared to the rest of us were more of introverts.
So right away we labeled him as the leader.
Yeah, and that proved to be true throughout the whole thing. He stood out a little bit, and especially when we were talking about the sandwiches and the homeless people, we didn't know how to approach them to start off initially, and he just jumped right in as leader and did it completely perfect and kind of set us, paved the way for us to go and easily do this a little bit smoother and better.
It's really hard for me as an introvert to, go approach a stranger and say, hey, would you like a lunch or do you need a water? But, following Daniel's lead, it's a lot easier for sure.
He was also very good at asking for all of our opinions, whether that be for the paper or the project, of how we all felt on doing this section this way, or just figuring out any kinds of those problems.
We set all of our goals very smart right off from the beginning. Everything that we decided to do, we set very good, clear deadlines, very clear ways that we wanted to do it and how we wanted to get it done, and we were very, communicated that extremely well, which really helped smooth things over, and that continued all the way through the project from day one to, even now through the video and the end of the class. It really was kind of great to see how those goals were able to really make it out.
Yeah, an example of that was just deciding how many lunches we were going to even make for the homeless. So we decided on 75 exactly, but when Daniel and I went to go get the supplies for the group, we kind of shot for more just so we wouldn't run out, because we wanted to at least reach our goal, if not exceed it. We didn't want to reach 70 and not get to what we planned originally, so we kept that in mind the whole time.
And we actually exceeded that number, which was kind of great to see. So Daniel always asked for all of our opinions throughout the whole thing, and even though he stood out as a leader, he made it a very point to make sure that we were all doing pretty great. And with that, because of that, we never really suffered from anything as far as groupthink. We really worked together as a team and was really conscientious about everything else. He was also a very employee-oriented leader. He was very conscientious about the group, so rather than specifically about the goal, he really cared about how all of us functioned together, how we were feeling about every moment, how the deadlines were really pressuring us or not pressuring us and vice versa, which really helped with that as well. And we all had a really good high quality relationship. We were, pretty good as far as everyone was in the in-group, so we never suffered from any issues in that.
So obviously we all communicated more informally than formally. We talked outside of the project as well, got to know each other more and figured out our personalities, the things we had in common. And it really just helped us build relationships with each other and made it a lot more fun to work as a team on this project together. We were self-managed and problem solving because there's two other ones that we didn't fit into at all. The self-managed is where the group decides pretty much what we're doing. We're all supervisors kind of, which we pretty much were in this case because we decided what project we were doing, when we were getting it done and all of that. But within that, we kind of worked as a problem-solving team because we had our teacher as the main supervisor deciding that we were actually doing this project, deciding when we had to finish it by and what things we had to include in it.
Clearly our strengths weren't to do a film. I mean, it's not
Right.
a major that we're in, and coming from a person whose major is film, it was kind of phenomenal, and we were really lucky to have him as a part of that. So rather than, making him do the paper, we figured we might as well use him as a strength and kind of work with that, and it kind of turned out to be smoother in that way.
Played to our strengths.
For example, Boyana and Alexandria were very high in conscientiousness, and I felt like they were really the organizational glue of the team. They were awesome at organizing when everything was going to happen and where it was going to happen and putting together the pieces. Timeline, for example, of this video, how we were going to structure the whole thing and talk about it. How we would approach people in need, because it's a tough thing. You don't want to offend somebody that might not need a lunch or might not need water. So that was probably one of our biggest obstacles. We weren't sure exactly how we were gonna approach it, but once we got out there on the field and started.
Few hits, few misses. I mean, some
Yeah.
people we definitely asked that weren't homeless.
I think the best way we went about it was offering a water bottle first, just
Yeah.
because that seemed a lot less offensive to offer someone in case they didn't need it than, oh, here's a free lunch because you look like you need one,
Yeah.
or something along those lines. So asking, oh, hey, would you like a water? They're much more willing to be yes or no without being so offended.
And we ended up finding some really good people. One guy was really awesome, dressed in all Broncos gear.
Oh,
gear
yeah.
head to
Took a
toe.
picture with us.
Yeah. And so that was kind of a cool thing to do. So, we did see some kind of, not necessarily bad things, but people, we weren't entirely comfortable with. And then we also met some really cool people on the side. We had another lady who told us, God bless, you guys are
Yeah.
saviors. And it was kind of cool to see learning from this experience that it is possible to have a group that functions properly and well and is able to get all their tasks done, that we hope to bring some of the topics that we learned here and some of the ways that we the ways that we did things and the things that we did here into other groups in the future, and hopefully that we can flow that in so those groups start functioning a little bit better and
Right.
smoother in that way.
We actually got a lot more from this than we thought we originally
It's a
would.
very good feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seeing people, their day light up, their eyes, they get very excited, and it was nice knowing that we made their day.
Even though you guys were introverts, it didn't. I don't know. You guys, it seemed like everyone was a lot more. We built confidence in each other.
It's almost like you brought out the extrovert in
Within
us
us.
a
Yeah,
little
I
bit.
felt everyone got comfortable and felt comfortable enough to where, we can either bring up issues that we want to talk about or when feeding the homeless. By the end of the task, everyone was taking an initiative. If they saw someone that could have used a lunch, they went and offered it. Whereas when we first started, I think everyone was, even me. I might have been the first person to act, but it's a tough thing when you don't want to offend anybody, and us, I don't think any of us have ever done it before, so I felt like by the end we all felt real comfortable with each other, and it just turned out really good.